Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and another card making video for Not Too Shabby. I am using the Happy Together stamp set. We're going to be coloring these hands three different ways with three different mediums: Copic markers, zig markers, and colored pencils. This is my go-to white cardstock. This is Accent Opaque 80-pound super smooth white cardstock. I'm going to be using this for coloring with my Copic markers, and I'm going to stamp out the hand image from this stamp set using Memento Tuxedo black ink. So once I stamp that up, I will remember that this is the one I'm coloring with Copics because I wrote it at the top. Now for the colored pencils, I'm using the same paper. This super smooth paper is also great for coloring with colored pencils, and I also use the Memento ink. For my zigs, though, I really need to use Bristol smooth cardstock, and I'm also using Versified Onyx black ink to stamp that out. So I have each one labeled so I remember the specialty paper that I'm using for that medium. So I'm going to start out with my Copic markers. My darkest color here is E27, and I'm laying that in where I want all the darkest parts to be, or the shadows. I'm going to blend that out with my E25. Now I really only planned on using two colors here, but my E25 is dry. This is the sad part of the video. I don't like that. I want to buy more Copic colors, not refills, right? But I think I'm gonna have to break down. I've used this color a lot. So because it was so dried out, I brought in E23, and I think this is the part that made me not love this one as much as I could have, because I really wanted a high contrast between the two hands, and I think this E23 is too close to the colors I picked for the other hand. I used a little tip to tip technique using my colorless blender and that E23 for the fingernails. Now for the lighter hand, I am using E33 and E35, and this, I mean, I think it's fine on its own, but again, I wanted really like a big difference in the skin colors between the two hands, and I was trying to get them like close to the same colors for each of the three different mediums, and it was a little darker than I wanted, but in the end, like I said, I think it's fine. Also, I wanted to let you know I am not a coloring expert. I love coloring, I have fun coloring, and I like to color with different mediums, so I thought I would just share with you how I did it and maybe inspire you to go ahead and color things even if you don't feel like you're an expert either. So I have the name and the number of the zigs on the screen there for you. These are water brush markers. They have a tip that's almost like a paintbrush. They blend together, but they also blend out with water. So I had my colorless blender there. It's just like a clear marker, but with no color in it. But in the end, I decided, because this is kind of a bigger image, I would use my water brush. I have a little paper towel on the side there that I dab it off. Now, if you have any water brush markers, ARTEZA also sells water brush markers, and you don't have like really good results with them, it's really important that you use the Bristol smooth paper. And I felt like the markers I used on the lighter hand, one of them had a reddish undertone and one of them had a yellowish undertone, and so my shading got off there, but my paper is pretty saturated with water from that water brush pen, so I moved on to my lighter color hand, and I'm going to go back and blend that out some more on the darker. So what I did is I laid down some of that marker on my glass mat and picked it up with the clear blending pen and got a little bit better result like I wanted when I did that. So there it is, all finished up, and I just kind of let the ink settle, and in the end I was okay with how it looked. So now we're moving on to my ARTEZA rather colored pencils, and again making one hand darker than the other. Now here is my tip for colored pencils. First of all, I needed to sharpen mine. It really works best if you have a pretty sharp pencil. Second of all, you really want to work in light layers with colored pencil. This is what I have learned. So you really want to go in very lightly, because what colored pencils do is they fill in the tooth of the paper, and once the tooth of the paper is filled in, you cannot blend them out or blend them together anymore. So really it is important that you color lightly and build up the layers. I also like to color in circles. I don't like to see the pencil lines. So I mean, I color in circles with almost everything that I color, but especially with colored pencils. And then once you know, like, I really want a dark line here, you can always add that in at the end. That's just the best way that I have found, especially when I'm trying to blend two colors together. I'm also putting the names and numbers of these pencils up on the screen. I will link the colored pencils that I'm using for you below. If you haven't shopped at ARTEZA before, they have really good quality artist tools like colored pencils, the water brush pens, they have alcohol markers, they have papers, like they have an amazing assortment of art supplies, and they have super good prices. Now I am bringing in this blending stump. You can use this with Gamsol, but for today I chose not to use that, and I just use the blending stump by itself, and it really softens out any pencil lines, and if you do any blending, it helps blend those together. So I chose to keep it this very simple. There is a watch and rings and things that you can add to these hands, but I just wanted to keep them all really simple. And I also feel like when I look at these all together, I feel like, oh, I'm not sure about these. But once I put them on cards, which we're going to do next, I liked them so much better. So I'm using 3 different prints from the Frosted and Tufted paper pack, also from Not Too Shabby. And I'm going to stencil over the top of them with the Conversation Heart stencil from Fawn. And I put some 2-way glue on the back of that, and I'm going to let it dry so it has a temporary adhesive. In the meantime, I am bringing in these Scalloped rectangle stitched reversed rectangle. It's a really long name. I'm going to link it for you below, but it's cute because it has scallops and stitching on both pieces. So I cut out 3 frames, 2 brown, 1 pink, and now my stencil is dry and I can stick it down and remove it. And I'm bringing in my Glitz glitter gel from Gina K. It's kind of dry. It wasn't spreading out good. So I put a few drops of distilled water in the cap of the lid for the distilled water jug and put a few drops in and mixed it around. Now this tip I got from you guys, my amazing viewers, and it worked like a charm. I'm also using the clear or the press and seal wrap over the top to keep the moisture in and stop it from escaping. And that really helped this become more spreadable and less dry. And then it sticks to the paper better. When it's dry, you just kind of scoot it around and it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. So there is my tip for Glitz glitter gel if you have similar problems. And I think it's so fun to do the hearts over the top of the heart background. And I have 2 pink backgrounds I'm doing the same thing with, and they are going to take a little bit of time to dry. So I'm going to do all 3 at once and set them aside, and then I can work on some other elements of my card while that's going on. And I'll just scrape off all the excess, put that back in the jar, and make sure to clean off my stencil, my tool, and my glass mat right away so I don't have like permanent glitter on things. While that is drying, or those are drying, I'm going to adhere the hands to the back side of my 3 frames. So like I said, I did 2 in brown and 1 in pink. And I just kind of laid out the hands on the different colored background papers until I found the one that I like best with that particular coloring. Now I am stamping out 3 different sentiments using some Fawn walnut ink. All 3 of the sentiments are from this Happy Together stamp set, and I am going to use my Cameo Silhouette to cut these out. So that's going to be the next about 1 minute of the video, is me showing how I use my Cameo to cut these out. So if that doesn't interest you, you could fast forward a little bit, but a lot of you want to know this. So what I do is I stick this to my Pick Scan mat, take a picture with my phone, send it to my computer, open it up in my Silhouette Cameo Studio program, and then a lot of times I get like an error message that says something's not compatible, and I tell it to upload it anyway. Once it's uploaded, I'm going to click the little symbol that looks like a butterfly with an outline, and then I tell it that I'm going to select an area to trace. I drag and a rectangle over that and then tell it to trace the outer edge. Now it's outlined in red. Then I'm going to click over to the star with an outline. This is the offset panel. And then I can click offset and adjust the size. I believe this one I adjusted to 0.065. And then I can now click on the inner red line, that trace line, and delete it. I don't want that. And then I can send this to my cutter, my Cameo Silhouette. And when I do that, I like to adjust my cut setting so it's a blade depth of 6, and I have it cut 2 times so it will release from that paper really easily. So here you can see the little blade doing its thing, cutting this out, and then I have some bubble cut sentiments ready to go. Just like that. This is exactly how I cut out the hands for today's cards as well. Now I'm using some foam adhesive strips around this. I want the frame to be popped up off of the paper. I'm not making a shaker, but you really could. Wouldn't that look so cool? I would love that too. I love shaker cards, but today I just wanted a dimensional frame, and then I just trimmed away the excess paper. I did cut it down to 4 inches, but I didn't cut off the sides so that I could move the paper back and forth and have the hearts be centered in that frame how I wanted them. I repeated that on all 3 of those cards, and then I am adhering them to card bases that match the frame, and that will be for all 3 of these cards. I'm loving how they turned out, even if, like, when I was making them, I wasn't sure if I loved the coloring, but sometimes you just have to walk away and come back to it and then see it with fresh eyes. And that's kind of what happened for me. And I honestly, I can't really decide which one I like the best. There's things I like about all of them, and there's things I would like change a little bit on each of them too. Like, I really want the contrast with my Copic marker coloring, but I would really like to know which one of these you like the best, and do you have a preferred coloring medium that you like to use? You can see here I'm using the scraps left over from my paper that I stenciled with that Glitz glitter gel as a decorative piece for the inside of the card. And the dark brown cards are getting pink inserts so that there's a nice place to write. And one thing I love about this stamp set, it was released for Valentine's Day, but you can really use it for so many other things, and I especially like it for anniversary cards. So there are the 3 cards that I made with this set using 3 different coloring methods, and I really enjoy doing that and bringing out some of those pens and pencils that I haven't used in a while, but I always enjoy it when I do. So I have all the things I used listed and linked for you below if you are interested. And if you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. I have new videos all the time, and I love sharing my creations with you. I thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today, and I hope you are having a fabulous week, and happy stamping. Bye!